Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, Derek, I know what you're thinking. Why am I showing Metroid Prime footage when we're talking about PC ports from the GameCube over to PC? That is because today we're going to be talking about Aurora, which is a new tool to allow for easier porting of decompiled GameCube games. Because 2026 is absolutely the year of decomps, recomps, and PC ports and big decomp energy that goes along with it. And a toolset like Aurora is going to bring you more ports quicker and more efficiently. And honestly, if you haven't played Twilight Princess Dusk yet, you absolutely have to play it, and that game is so incredibly good because it is using some of the Aurora tool set. Because honestly, decompiling a game is only 50% of the task. Actually getting it ported over to PC is the other part, and having a robust tool set and software development kit, for lack of a better term, just makes it all that much easier. Because you're going to be seeing a lot more GameCube games get PC ports, and if there is a tool set out there that eases in the overall development process, that just means you're going to see it quicker. Because everyone, myself included, was surprised to see how quickly you saw ports for Twilight Princess actually start development and make progress compared to when the game was 100% decompiled, which wasn't that long ago. And there is an active decomp project in process for Metroid Prime as well, so imagine a future in which something like Aurora can bring us a PC port of the original Metroid Prime with all of the quality of life improvements and enhancements we currently see in the Twilight Princess PC ports. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, get a Patreon link down below as well. But obviously we're talking about Metroid, we're going to move right into the Twilight Princess Dusk Light port. A little bit of a fun cut there, a couple different big fiery things in the background. The reason that this thing is progressing so quickly, the reason that it is so good, is in part to Aurora. Now that isn't to take away from the developers' actual work here, they've done an incredible job, but having a toolset like Aurora to point to absolutely makes the job that much quote-unquote easier. But if you think about it this way, maybe it'll be a little bit more logical. If you have to hammer in a nail, you definitely want to use a hammer. Sure, you can do it with a rock, but that hammer is going to be the tool that allows you to do the work. That is what Aurora is doing here for Dusklight. Because you'll see here, it's a source level GameCube and Wii compatibility layer intended for use with game decompilation projects. It was originally developed for the use in Metaforce, a Metroid Prime reverse engineering project, but now it is working with Dusk as well. And all this is really doing, and I say all it's really doing, it's doing a metric crap ton, is being able to take that GameCube or Wii decompiled code and intelligently port it over to newer operating systems. Because you have to remember, every single thing about the GameCube and Wii has nothing in comparison to what we use for modern hardware today. No one's using a PowerPC CPU while they're watching this video, and if you are, you'll have to tell me how you're doing that. Nobody is using the GPU or audio chips in the GameCube or Wii in any sort of PC environment either. So all of the code has to be converted from PowerPC over to an x86 instruction set or ARM, and all of the calls and the APIs to all the hardware that would be in a GameCube or Wii have to be converted over into a modern operating system environment as well, with all of the current hardware we have. If you take a look at the feature set here under the GX compatibility later, you're going to see that it works with DirectX 12, Vulkan, and Metal, and it is very performant. What that is meaning is that you can basically run this thing on close to a potato, and it absolutely is efficient. If you have an AMD or an NVIDIA GPU, it should be totally fine. On the Android side of things, most GPUs in those phones have been working. There's been a couple reports of a couple ones having some issues, and as far as Intel graphics cards, I haven't heard anyone test that yet right now, but it does apparently work. It even works on integrated graphics as well. So basically, Aurora is allowing this to draw the graphics and convert all those calls over to basically any piece of hardware that exists out there, so it is very wide-ranging. Now going back to the overall list here as well, you're going to see more features that do exist, and it really is nice, like the Dolphin compatibility texture pack support. And that's why I've been talking a lot about the different texture packs, including Henrico Magnifico's 4K texture pack based upon the GameCube textures, as well as Twilight Princess HD on the Wii U, because they actually changed out a lot of textures in that game, so you can basically kind of pivot these up to be whatever you want them to be. And that has been done in part with Aurora, and I will say the implementation is flawless. There's never any texture loading that I've seen. You don't really need to cache anything. It just seems to work very easily, and that is why toolsets like this are so important. You don't have to think about how it's doing something. You just get to sit down and enjoy a game like it was released on PC back in the day by Nintendo, and everything just worked. And of course, it's also dealing in part with the audio for the game as well, which is my obvious translation over to the first soundtrack sample. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds or so, but come back. We'll talk about all of the other features, including all the widescreen and resolution scaling support. But enjoy, because the music is straight up 10 out of 10.
history. Future. Pretend. Angry. True.
Sounds incredible and it looks incredible, and that is all down to, in part, Aurora's functionality with the actual port. Now again, this doesn't take away from what the actual developers did on the Dusklight team, but it's just a tool that allows you to more easily support the things you would like to support. And that's why you see stuff like GameCube controllers working as well. Or think about it this way, I make this channel, I edit every single video, and for the longest time, I've been using DaVinci Resolve Studio. It is a robust tool set to allow me to creatively do whatever it is I want, so I don't have to think about how I do work. I just spend the time actually doing the function of the work. That is what something like Aurora allows as well. It allows you to get to your work quicker and not think about what tools you're going to be using. It just kind of removes the middleman, and that's not only going to be important for Dusklight, as we've now seen, it's going to be important for a lot of GameCube decomps and even Wii decomps coming over to PC, because again, something like the original Metroid Prime has that decompilation project in progress, and even Metroid Prime 2 is seeing it as well. So then if other teams or even the decomp teams want to go over and bring it to something like PC, the Aurora toolset's going to be available to them because it is open source, of course. It is on GitHub, and I will leave the link in the description below if you want to read more, and that lets them get into the work of actually porting the game that much quicker. Because again, we've seen it on stuff like Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, iOS, and even Switch. It also allows for easy interoperability between different operating systems. And metaphors here, this is the actual work in progress of getting something like Metroid Prime actually on PC, but of course, because the decompilation project isn't 100% done, this isn't anything that I think you're going to be seeing soon. Because even though these toolsets do exist, it still requires hundreds upon hundreds, probably even thousands of hours of work for teams out there, the fan developers, to actually get this stuff done. And at least according to the GitHub page as I record this audio, the code is 35.63% decompiled, so of course it still has a decent amount of the way to go. But when it is decompiled enough to start working on a PC port and getting it out there for testing, a toolset like Aurora will be available for that. And don't forget, even though a lot of people do wait for the 100% decompiled status to start a port, you actually don't need to do that whatsoever, because maybe the last 5% that needs to be decompiled isn't anything to do with the areas in the game that you're working on, because certain areas, certain levels are going to use different parts of the code than others. Some code is definitely used in the entirety of the game, other code is going to be used in one section. That's why you see stuff even like we see now, PC ports in development based upon decomps that really get the 95% stage. And trust me, there's a lot of decomps, recomps, and PC ports in active development, some that you guys know about and some that I know about, and the developers just asked me not to share information yet. But I think you're going to see a very exciting back half of 2026 when it comes to all this stuff, and having these tools just makes it all the easier. And that's why I definitely wanted to do a video on this one, because I keep seeing comments on the Twilight Princess PC port videos, people saying that they expected this thing to take a year, maybe even 2, and they're shocked that it took under 6 months. And that is because, at least in part, something like Aurora exists and allows for that ease of translation, and that is absolutely incredible. And if for some strange reason you haven't tried the Twilight Princess PC port yet, you absolutely owe it to yourself to do so. It'll be interesting to see what Twilight Princess Reborn does when it hits its release status as well, because it's not one but 2 different Twilight Princess PC ports that we're going to have. Right now, Dusklight is the only one playable as of the recording of this audio, but I'm sure that's going to change relatively shortly. But it's one of those things, having more options is always better, and having more tools to be able to realize those options is always going to be a good thing. Because decomps, recomps, and PC ports are going nowhere, and I really feel like by the time we get to 2030, and trust me, I have plans to still be video game esoteric by then unless it's out of my control, I think you're going to see hundreds upon hundreds of recomps and PC ports playable by anyone who wants to sit down and enjoy them. And again, something like Twilight Princess Dusklight, definitely my preferred way to play the game now. And don't get me wrong, the Wii U version of the game is a fun port, but this thing is just light years ahead, or dusk years ahead, depending on how you want to phrase it. Dad joke very much intended, and it really is going to be something that people can jump into and play anytime. And like I've said in previous videos, this isn't just for us fans of something like Twilight Princess who played it back in the day. My nephews who love the Zelda games, who didn't grow up with this, definitely not going to play a GameCube version. They're going to call it old, but if I put this in front of them, they're going to play it from start to finish and love it. But sure to that, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Try to answer each and every one of you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. But trust me, go read the Aurora GitHub. It's very interesting, and you kind of get an idea of how the sausage gets made, for lack of a better term. Sure to that, we're done. Go play Dusklight, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.